Ladies, we are ready to be committed to listen. Let me give you a teaser from the book. I'm going to read the preface. Feeling defeated by my health, depressed because of my inability to physically do what I needed to do, and overwhelmed by the mounting list of undone tasks, I cried out to God. My tears spilled on pillows, in therapy rooms, on compassionate shoulders, and they streamed down my face involuntarily from pain. Having walked a similar road before, I was weary. I was exhausted. Unwilling to give in to the pain or allow this version of a new normal to become my identity, I cried out to God. One day while praying in the shower, where I have some of my best conversations with God, it was as if I heard him whisper, "Lifter of my head." Prompted to call on God by that name, I began to pray specifically to him in that way. I'm feeling down. Please be the lifter of my head. My thoughts are racing. I can sing. Thou, O Lord, art a shield about me. You are my glory. You're the lifter of my head. It's taken from Psalm 3:3. And while I did not open my Bible to read the psalm, I knew that the phrase came directly from Scripture. Everyone around me knew that I was struggling. They could see the pain behind my eyes and had witnessed the tears. My entire demeanor was subdued. Recognizing the spiritual war being waged inside my body, I openly asked for prayers in small group Bible studies with the Iron Rose Sister Ministries team, from friends and family. My mom suggested that I go to the weekly shepherd's meeting and take advantage of what they offer, that the elders of the congregation pray over you. Obediently, I contacted 2 of the shepherds and requested their prayers. In front of the full group, after explaining my desperate need to have others lifting me up and the ministry in prayer, I reiterated my own cries to the lifter of my head. The next morning, my burden felt lighter. Nothing had changed in my body, but my perspective had changed. Remembering what God had called me and has called all of us to is to not bear our burdens alone. Galatians 6:1 and Matthew 11:28 and 29. That was a Wednesday night. Okay, the following Sunday morning, I arrived at church in pain. So much pain. My hip was straining to stay in place. My neck was screaming and at the point of triggering a migraine. I began doing subtle PT exercises on both while sitting in the chair and while standing to sing. Massaging my neck and flexing my thigh and gluteus muscles, I prayed more than I worshiped that day. Unable to concentrate on the sermon, my thoughts began to tumble down trails of hopeless desolation and pain. Fears ran rampant as I doubted my physical abilities to continue with what God was calling me and Iron Rose Sister Ministries to next. Immediately following services, I opened up to a friend asking for prayer that Satan would not win in this spiritual battle. When asked what she could specifically pray for, I said wisdom, discernment, and hope. I'm praying to the lifter of my head and sustainer of my soul. Unsure of my ability to go to my Bible class that followed the worship assembly, I squatted to talk with another friend seated nearby who happened to be a physical therapist. I realized how much she might understand my plight and could pray more specifically regarding a possible additional diagnosis that I had begun exploring with the medical professionals attending to me. After unburdening my fears, emotions, and spiritual battle again, specifically mentioning my neck and hip issues that morning, I told her how the Spirit had prompted me to pray to the lifter of my head. I suddenly chuckled, realizing how literally that prayer applied to my circumstances. That friend caught on immediately and replied, I bet God is up there right now chuckling, delighted that you finally made the connection. We laughed at how the Spirit's prompting from weeks before, a prayer to the lifter of my head, was already an answer to how He could lift my head and neck, physically and spiritually. The following Sunday, we sang 2 songs that mention the lifter of my head. God saw me. God heard my cries. And I became confident of that because I had been committed to listen to God, to my mom, to the verbalized and unspoken prayers of others. The lifter of my head was the sustainer of my soul. And while I continued to battle the pain, I trusted that I was not alone, and I renewed my commitment to listen.